This is the I'm done video that you've all been waiting for. The time has come to move on to other things. Now, before you think this is one of those, I'm quitting YouTube, and here's why. Well, this isn't that video. Well, not yet anyways. But with the amount of work that I have to do these days to keep up with the exclusive sync libraries that I'm serving and new libraries coming on every month, including 2 actually new libraries this week, I have to make careful decisions about how I spend my time. And as I have promised all of 2025, since I did the state of stock video at the beginning of this year, is it really over? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Is it really over? I also did one about a year ago, mid-2024, and it looked like this: stock music income in 2024. And so I have updated this video and this subject, stock music licensing. And there's a reason I did, because it continues to change and has changed so much to the point where we're here at this video today. I'm glad you're here with me. Stay with me because we got a lot to talk about. Now, despite an uptick when I did this video, the state of stock at the beginning of the year, I kind of was a little optimistic because I had actually seen an uptick in 2024. But I also said and predicted that things likely would take a downward turn, and indeed they have. And not just for me, but for everyone, it seems. And in fact, as usual, we're going to have a little bit of music income science. That's right, a little music income science today. As we look at some polls and get some questions answered by people who are doing stock music. And hopefully some of you in the chat today will give us your thoughts and your experience in 2025 with stock. That'll help some of what we talk about today. We'll also likely take a look at the final numbers, or I'll just tell you some final numbers that I am seeing this year. And so far, it looks like a down year. Who knows what's going to happen? But I do this video for 2 reasons. First, I am just not sure that stock licensing, even though it's easy and a good first step, maybe for some composers, is worth mine or your time. Unless you're just a beginner and truly just trying to find a niche for yourself with something like Motion Array, which we'll talk about a lot today. Maybe you produce an ungodly amount of music and it can't all go to sync, or it's not all for sync, or whatever. That's the first reason I'm doing this, because I'm just not so sure stock music licensing is something that I want to promote that much to you, and I want you to spend your time doing. Second, my biggest video, and the one that really got this whole train rolling here, is this video. A video I did years ago called From $0 to $600 a month. Some of you may remember, if you remember this and you're here today, or you are watching this later and you remember this video. This was the video that kind of got this channel started. We'll talk about it in a minute. But people still comment on that video and ask, is it still possible? Can I still get $600 a month like you did? Well, this video that we're doing right now is going to be the answer, and it's going to be the video that I'll have people watch after they find that video, just so they know the reality of 2025 versus 2021. That's 4 years old, that video. In fact, I don't think I have done it yet, but I'll put my last few videos on this subject, the ones I just showed you, down below so you can see that. I've done one about every 6 months. So get comfy, get ready, and prepare yourself. Gird up your loins for some info and stats and numbers. And let's talk, maybe for the last time on this channel, about stock music licensing. Welcome to the Make Music Income Podcast. My name is Eric Copeland, and I've made a full-time living as a music producer, composer, and arranger for over 25 years. In this podcast, I talk about making music income with music licensing, music production, music streaming, music royalties, being a music composer, arranger, producer, or artist, or really any way that I have in the past or currently now, or want to make music income. I have free and paid courses and coaching and ebooks for you at makemusicincome.com/free. Make sure to like this podcast if you enjoy the content, because it really helps, and subscribe if you're just finding the podcast or channel and want to be part of things every week. I hope all this content helps you make the music you love to make and make music income. Okay, so thank you for being here today on the podcast. We will be getting into everything. I want to just quickly say that why would I not do this video if I didn't let you know about the stock music ebook and course I have. How long I'll have them, I don't know. I guess I will keep them in some capacity. They may all be put together, but they do exist. There is a new version of the stock market ebook, and I'm going to even make another one to really kind of explaining what I'm talking about today. But if you want to know how to get to all the libraries that I'm talking about today, it's all there, and you can find it. And you can start the course for free for the first 3 chapters. If you want to really find out what stock music licensing is, it's free, like for the first 3 videos of the course. Absolutely free. So go to makemusicincome.com and look at our courses, and you can go and check that out. Okay. And remember, what I would really love for you to do, even more than that, I'm meeting someone today. I'm talking to someone tomorrow. I am looking for partners. And the next video on this channel is going to be about what I am looking for specifically from partners, people I'm looking for. Let me just say this as a little precursor to that video. If you play viola professionally, I need to speak to you. But otherwise, we'll talk about other partners that I need dearly. But if you're interested in partnering with me, especially focusing on sync licensing and maybe some high-end stock licensing maybe, get in touch with me at Positive Spin Partners at positivespinsongs.com/partners, and go check out. Everybody asks me, you say you make music all the time. I never hear any of your music. Every video I tell you about positivespinsongs.com. It is where all our music is. If you want to go listen to what we do and the quality, that's where you do it. All right, so let's get into this now. Let's get right to it. Let's talk about stock music sales then and now. So can you still make money uploading your songs to libraries like Pond5, Motion Array, and others? We're going to talk about all of them today. In 2025, does it still work in June? Well, the answer is yes. But the real answer is it worth your time and investment to make any money from them? And is it worth doing so at the expense of making music for bigger paying things like exclusive uses of music for television and advertising through sync libraries? As I've been watching this channel and I've been looking at my videos, and since its inception, I've been doing sync licensing. As a matter of fact, I started doing sync licensing 10 years ago. I thought about it, heard about it, didn't know anything about stock music licensing. I was after music for television. And so that is what I did. And I did music for television and built that up for a few years before I got my first deal in 2020. And it wasn't until 2021 that I even heard about stock music through Daniel Carrizales or Stevie B or somebody on YouTube. And I found out that it existed and then you could make some money with it. So in 2021, after I'd got accepted by Motion Array, I found myself at some point eventually making around $600 a month, mainly due to Motion Array. It happened. It was a thing. And there were people like Stevie B and like other people who were making way more than that. There were some people who make $2,000 to $5,000 in a month with Motion Array. And that went on for a year or two. But the bubble eventually bursts, I think, on most things that pay a lot all of a sudden, and then they stop paying a lot all of a sudden. But I was having experiences like that and seeing my income go up. So I started this channel in July of 2021, coming up on 4 years. And I just wanted to share my experiences because what was happening to me as a professional producer was different than what I was seeing happen to Jesse or to Dave or to Stevie B or anybody else I saw that was talking about licensing their music. And so there are videos you can find in the stock media licensing playlist, which is on this channel. I have a playlist just of all the stock music videos that I did about what's been happening through the years. You can watch them. I've got them pretty much in order of when they came out. So you can watch them as we went through that. And after 2021, things did decrease, mainly because motion array decreased. But then for me, they stabilized for a few years where I was making not $600 a month, but about $250 a month. And some months would be higher and lower. But that was without putting a lot more music into these libraries. I built it up to somewhere around 250 songs that were in different libraries. But things have changed, obviously, and specifically with the way stock libraries operate. When I started, Motion Array was the only subscription library. Well, now they're mostly all subscription libraries, and that took down how people were buying the music. They weren't paying per song. They were paying a subscription for all they could eat, as much as they wanted to download from any of these sites. So that kind of changed things a little bit more. And then now with AI coming in and being directly available on Envato Elements, you can basically do what you can do on Suno or any AI site and just tell it what you want, type in what kind of song you want, and it comes out with an original song that's likely based off one of my songs or anyone else who's in that library. It's just a Frankenstein song from other people's music. And how that monetizes, we still don't know. But as my Discord would tell you, how Motion Array or any subscription library monetizes, we still don't know. It's all a crapshoot. And it's the one thing that we do know is the money is decreasing. Because I thought I was going to be doing this video 6 months ago. I said in that last video that when I started this year, that I thought this state of stock thing was going to be the end. This is the end. In 2025, things have changed for me. I'm not putting any more things up in music libraries. I'm not putting things in music libraries as far as stock libraries right now. And since I'm not putting more in, you would think I'm getting less because I'm not putting more music in. Well, to some extent, that's the truth. I am getting less now in 2025 than I've gotten in previous years. I have taken as I directly said at the beginning of the year, I was taking all my original music off most stores, even Motion Array. And although still on Pond 5, I'll get into that, why I'm still on Pond 5. But as I mentioned last year and this year in both my update videos, the only thing I will leave up is public domain works that I think are very good for stock music. My composition and production concentration now is on just daily on dozens of albums that we're working on with our Positive Spin partners. And working with exclusive sync libraries, that's my focus, to build a catalog of hundreds and eventually thousands of songs that will bring strong quarterly payments from my PRO, and that continues to grow year on year. So you can see me talk about that in the video from last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, but I talk about that a lot. But let's move on now to the next thing I want to talk about, and that is $600 a month in stock music still even possible? Is it still possible? Is it still a thing that can actually happen in real life? And I think the answer is going to be probably no, but it is for some people. That's the whole thing about this video that I put out years ago, is that's what I was telling everybody, that I went from $0 to $600 a month with stock music. I was amazed. And it's because I was. And that video has over 63,000 views, 3 times the views of my biggest video. And so I wanted to do a response video that I could put out there that people could find and they would know this is something that they can do. So can you make $600 a month in stock music? Well, for the past 2 or 3 years for me, it's been more around $250 a month. And that's still not bad as something that pays a little bit of the bills. And I have not put a lot of the new music up. This year, that number is not even approaching $200 yet. That could change, but right now I'm forecasting that I'm down about 30% from last year in the year before. But there are people who are still making this money, $600 a month in stock music. And I reached out to them this week. And so we're going to do, as I said earlier, if you haven't seen it, we're going to be doing music income science. That's right, music income science. And we're going to look at some polls that I put out this week. And is anyone still making $600 a month in stock music? So the first place I went is right here on YouTube. To the people I knew I would get a lot of responses from. And that was the YouTube audience, and we have 75 votes. Do you average $600 a month with stock music licensing now in 2025? Figure in your content ID income. We'll talk about that in a minute. Also, Artlist or any other higher end mid-tier stock licensing. As you can see, 91% do not make over $600 a month, but 9% do. So whatever the math is, there are people out there that do, but as you can see, over 90% of people do not. Now, let's take a look at a little bit more telling poll, and that is the poll from my Discord. And these are people who are seriously focused on licensing, at least the people who are in in the stock music licensing folder. And same question. Do you average over $600 a month in stock licensing now in 2025? This is a little higher, obviously, because we had 39 votes, which is not bad, but still 67% do not, but 33% do. Now, again, these are people who take this a little more serious than the casual YouTube viewer or the people who are in my YouTube audience. So these people, there's about a third of them that do make over $600 a month. And so when I saw that, I went into the Discord and I asked if there's anybody who would like to tell me about what kind of numbers that they're seeing in 2025. I'm not going to reveal this person's identity, but this person said that he makes about $500 to $1,000 with stock and content ID per month, with about 130 tracks up there. That's a telling number too. You got to have a good number of tracks. He sees it going up, but 90% of the income is Motion Array and Content ID, which we're going to talk about. The rest is Pond 5 and Audio Jungle and VFine. Audio Jungle means he's been doing this a while because you can't join Audio. They've been closed. Audio Jungle's been closed since 2021. So this is somebody who's been doing this a long time. Lately, he's been focusing more on sync, and the ratio is about 80-20. Exclusive to non-exclusive as far as what he's doing with just income starting to come in from sync. So 3 years is about right. It takes about 3 years to start to see some consistent income coming in. There is an advantage to stock music, and you may not be making $600 a month, but there is an advantage of stock music. And the advantage is that you are getting paid quicker. You will make more from stock than sync at first as you start licensing, because stock pays monthly if you sell and or download it. I am making more now personally at sync than I am at stock, but this took a few years to get there. Last year was the first year that happened, and it looks like that's certainly going to happen in 2025 as well. But I've been in sync and continue flooding sync libraries with albums. The more you put into something, the more result you get out of it. And the less I put into stock, the less I'll get out of it. And the more I put in sync, the more I'll get out of it. That's just natural common sense. So like I said, I'm not putting new things into Motion Array as often. So what do you think is going to happen? I should get less from stock and more from sync. So if you focus on stock and you are in Motion Array and continually send them high quality music and make that your focus along with Content ID, which we'll talk about, you should be able to do what the composer I just talked about does and make $500 a month, or you have the possibility to make that money. Now, my focus is on a 4-figure or 5-figure PRO check down the line per quarter, and not 3-figure, hopefully monthly checks from stock and Content ID. Again, at first, even a $5 Pawn 5 sale, or for me, 123RF sale, was awesome. But it's more money than you'll make at Sync when you start Sync, because at first with Sync, you'll make this much money, unless you are doing some kind of direct deal with a Sync agent where you get paid $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 for a specific song they need. But those are more one-offs. They don't happen weekly, monthly, quarterly. So we're not going to get into that right now. I play the longer Sync library game, though, which I think is a smarter move investment-wise. That's another video that we'll talk about. Okay, so let's talk about how stock music works in 2025. To me, this is the most important part of this video. If you're here right now, give this video a thumbs up so other people find it, because what I'm about to talk about, I think, is the most interesting part of what's happening here. And that is what the best litmus test for, number one, the quality of your music. A lot of people ask me all the time, is my quality good enough? Is my music quality good enough? And I'll tell you how to find out if your quality is good enough. Get in Motion Array. This is likely the best strategy, as we just heard from someone else who is making $500 to $1,000 a month in stock music. Get into Motion Array. Now, that alone, what is Motion Array? Well, Motion Array is there's a link to it below, but Motion Array is a place where you can get lots of different things. And one of them is music. So if you go to the music site, you'll see that you can have music in here, and you'll see there's music here where people can download, and you can get a subscription to this, and they pay pretty well. And so if we look down at the bottom here, you can go to, here it is, become an artist. So I'm already an artist, so it's telling me to submit more works, but you can go there and submit music. And that link is below if you want to try it. And again, I feel like Motion Array is that place that you can know where you stand. If you want to know where you stand, are you good enough? Is your music high quality enough? I find that quality is the main bar of what they decide to accept or not. It's not just style. Sometimes it's style or genre, but most of the time it's quality. And if you do not have the quality, then you are not going to get into Motion Array. So you get into Motion Array, and then after you get in, and you use 5 songs to get into Motion Array. And after you get in, then you have to get songs in individually. And you can put like 10 or 20 in at a time to submit to them. It could take 2 weeks or more for those songs to be approved or rejected. Again, another way you can know where your quality level is. And I think getting in and getting songs in Motion Array lets you know that you have quality music, and because they have a high bar. And their payment model is based on people paying subscription. And it's hard to figure out why they pay what they pay, but it's still the best paying stock music library, at least for me. I don't know if anybody makes more with any other library on a monthly basis, but I know most of the people that I've talked to make the majority of their money from stock music on Motion Array. Now, here's a fun fact. I'm making more, thanks to a payment just a few days ago, on Motion Array in 2025 than I did in 2024 so far. I think that's an aberration. We got a little bit of an expanded payment this month. I probably got about 3 times the amount I usually get. Don't know if it was a catch up. Don't know if it was they told me in an email that they just had a good month in music and had more money than usual. And so the pot was split accordingly. Whether you want to believe that or not, I don't know. I've often thought of doing an experiment and just putting a new album up to Motion Array and treating them like an exclusive library and seeing how it does. I may have made $2,500 in PRO stuff from Motion Array last year, because somewhere, and I can't tell where, a public domain version of the national anthem played on piano was downloaded from a subscription. Now that could have been Pond5, but I would have seen it there. And it could have been Audio Jungle. No, it couldn't have been Audio Jungle. It probably had to be Motion Array. And if it was Motion Array, it was used. My PRO information was in there, and I was paid through BMI a little over $2,500 for, and I got writers and publishing for that. So that was my biggest PRO check so far. Might have come through Motion Array, not sure. The other beautiful thing about Motion Array, and I've done this lately, is you can take songs down in 30 days. So, and they're gone forever. So I highly think that if you are focused on stock music, then you're going to want to go to Motion Array and see if your quality is good enough for them. Get in there and put a lot of songs, as many songs as you can get in there, you get in there. And that's step one in 2025. So again, that link on how to become an artist at Motion Array is in the description. That's how you get to what I think is step one in 2025. If you are still bound and determined to do stock music in 2025. The second part of that recipe, after you've gotten in Motion Array and after you have those songs up in Motion Array, is to make sure you have them in Content ID. What is Content ID? Well, Content ID is the monthly income that comes in from YouTube through some place that you register with. I register with Identifyy. We'll talk about them in a minute. But this brings in money when people watch a video that's got your music in it. And YouTube hears that. They trace back to all the different places that collect Content ID and say, does this belong to anyone? We just heard this on a video. And if it does, that person's video gets monetized. And they split it with you. And you get some of that money. In my case, I get 70%. And the company that I use called Identifyy gets 30%. Now, this isn't a video for all of these places. So you can see my Identifyy link below if you're interested in being with them. Don't go there if you don't have any music up anywhere, though. They won't accept you. If you don't have any music up, if you have a lot of streaming stuff, maybe. But if you don't have anything up in stock libraries already, they probably won't accept you. So here's the caveat with that. People can get out of paying that, because all they have to do is go back to the library they got the stuff from and clear the song of Content ID with the library, with Motion Array. They can say, hey, Motion Array, you said this was stock, this was royalty free. And they said, it is. We will clear that off your account. You can use it. Go in peace. And so people can now easily clear songs on Motion Array or Pond5 or wherever they got it from. And I saw Content ID personally go way down for me in 2024. In fact, I quit Content ID for a time. I finished my first 3-year deal with them. It's a 3-year deal with Identifyy. And so you can't get your stuff back if it's already in there for 3 years. Now, recently I started putting some of the public domain stuff back up there because I've made some money on that over the years. So I do have some stuff going back into Content ID now, which we'll see if that brings down any money. But Content ID went down 56% for me in 2024. Another reason why all of this stock music stuff is just not on my radar as much anymore. But still, if you're going to play the game, and even if it's only with Motion Array, then you need to have your songs in Content ID. I recommend Identifyy and still think they are the best, and you can find a link on how to join Identifyy below. But again, I wouldn't try until you actually have songs either on streaming services like Spotify and stuff, or you have songs in Motion Array. They're very careful, or Pond5, wherever you have songs in stock. Speaking of Pond5, let's go there next, because this is the last of the libraries I'm probably going to heartily recommend. And I don't heartily recommend Pond5 because you're going to make a lot of money there. I've often said that Pond5 is the best way to start doing licensing, and specifically stock licensing. And for those of you just starting music at all, I think Pond5 still is the best place for you to go and start putting your music in, because it's a pretty low bar of entry. You don't have to have as high quality as Motion Array, but for music income, it's also a very low payer. And there's subscription stuff going on there too, which you can make literal pennies. And there's sales that there's almost no way to get sales unless you're pricing stuff so low that you only make $1 per sale, which is still better than what you make when someone listens or downloads your song. But if you're doing Motion Array, there's no reason not to put your songs in Pond 5 as well. You might as well. But keep them high. I just changed the prices of mine all to about $19, like I have them on Audio Jungle. So $25 to $50 per sale maybe, or $20 to $30 per sale. And one sale of that over the course of a month or two would be better than 10 $5 sales. So as far as what you'd get back. So, and you have to know that Pond 5 is training AI off your music. And we got a big AI check last year, a big AI payment from Pond 5. I made $600 or more. And so I did make $600 in stock music that month. But it's not something that happens very often. It looks like it's only going to happen once a year. So far, it's only happened twice in 2 years, or maybe 3 years. So we'll see if AI training money happens again. And I still think Pond 5 is great for being a database for me, for descriptions and keywords and tempos and all that kind of stuff. But for monthly income, not really. I do have the link for Pond 5 and how to sell your music there in the description as well. But that's it, though. I'm not sure I would bother putting my non-exclusive music anywhere else. Let's run through the options here real quick. Someone says, can I use Route Note for Content ID for Audio Jungle? I would not. Again, I would not use a distributor for Content ID. It's bad enough when you have a company like Identifyy that's specifically focused on collecting Content ID. That's hard enough to get money from there, much less through your distributor. They have a million things to do. Don't do that. Jack Barton says, I've got some music on Pond 5 that hasn't been doing anything meaningful lately. Would you leave it there, add it to other sites like Motion Array, or take that out and put it in sync libraries? Well, it depends how good it is, Jack. It depends on if Motion Array won't take it, I would not pitch it to sync licensing, because exclusive sync libraries are very picky. If you can get it on Motion Array, I would absolutely do that. I mean, it doesn't hurt you to have stuff in Pond 5. That's never going to hurt you, really. But if you're going to leave it there, add it to Motion Array, certainly. Make sure you put it also in Content ID. If you want to take them out, then don't put them in Content ID, and you want to try to pitch them to sync libraries, well, that's a whole nother deal. But I would try Motion Array first as a precursor and a sign that you know your music is good enough for sync libraries. Because if it's not good enough for Motion Array, I would not be sending it to sync libraries. That's just my personal hot take there. Looks of the Legend says, I notice a lot of libraries seem to ask you don't use Content ID. As well, I believe in the last video you said you didn't want to continue to use ID. Yeah, I've stopped using Content ID for all my songs, except the public domain songs that I'm gonna keep in Motion Array and Pond 5 for that matter, because I can't get into exclusive contracts with libraries if they're already in Content ID. They don't want them in Content ID, and in a similar way, they don't necessarily want you to copyright them, or they don't necessarily want you to put them in your PRO just yet. Anybody you pitch music to who's a library is not crazy about you having Content ID on something. So anyway, getting back to your question, I don't know a library that asked a stock library that asked me not to use Content ID. It used to be Audio Sparks, which I'll talk about in a minute. They used to say something about that, but now they've said Identifyy is fine. So if you're using Identifyy is fine. If you're going through your distributor, don't. But you shouldn't be doing that anyway. I don't know if I can say that any more clearly. You shouldn't do that. Cloud9 Music is here, and Cloud9, I need your data here right now. Cloud9 says getting $400 in Content ID next check with ad rev. That's probably a quarterly check, correct? Broken down, that would be a little over $100 a month in Content ID, which is great. But Cloud9 is probably, if I'm not mistaken, someone who is putting tons of music into all of these places. Cloud9 says, just a hot tip, put your contact, email, and business number in your Pond 5 bio. Companies have contacted me directly to work with them that equal good payouts. Well, there you go. Yep. Good stuff. All right, so let's move on and just quickly go through in 2025 what some of these other places. And the first one's going to surprise you. And it sounds funny. I know you're going to laugh. But it's this is a library that paid me nothing last year, and it's run by a guy named Paul over in Austria, I think, Germany, somewhere over there. And Paul he does his own music, but he also puts out a lot of other people's music. And I've made over $100 in Yummy Sounds so far. It's so funny to say, but you may want to try it. And I don't have the link below, but I'll put it down below, or you can just type in Yummy Sounds in your browser and you'll find it. But it has made hundreds over the years, and it's made over 100 this year. And so Paul's a good guy to work with. That's a possibility. But when we get to things like these guys, Motion Elements, V-Fine Music, and 100 Audio, it's time to move on. I am waiting patiently right now. I just got an email from them yesterday. I asked them, how soon can I send you my letter getting out? Because August is when I can send that letter. And I have about 80 songs set to be free. And after that, most all my original music will be off stock of any kind and off Content ID, original music. Like I said, I'm not so concerned with my public domain stuff, but my original music I might want to redo for, and just like Licks of the Legends question, or whoever's question that said, Jack Barton's question, I want to get those off and rework them for sync. And I think there's some good stuff in there. I've already got 2 or 3 albums planned from those songs that they just didn't work in stock for me. And I think I can get them to work in sync a little better and redo them. So after I get my stuff out of V-Fine, I'm taking out of Motion Elements. Actually, I do have stuff up in Motion Elements. That's never made me much. I made $120 in 4 years, and that was only because I was in their global subscription program. And that is a library, Licks of the Legends, that you cannot be in if you're in Content ID. Well, you can, but you can't be in their subscription thing, and that's the only thing that made me money there. So I stopped that. I don't recommend your time it takes to put my wife spent a ton of time putting all the information that they want into that library, and I made $5 this month, and $1 the month before that, and $0 before that, and all year last year. So I don't recommend these Chinese libraries, Motion Elements, V-Fine, or 100 Audio, and their contracts are horrendous. So I would stay away from them. So that's another 3 libraries I wouldn't do. Audio Jungle, you can't get in. Envato Elements, you can't get in. You can't just apply to them. And I'm not having many sales in Audio Jungle. Also, speaking of the rest that I'm very meh about, Deposit Photos, Dreams Time, 123RF. These are things that have made me a total of $100-ish in 4 years. No, stop. Just stop. The Music Case, Jamendo, Music Revolution. No, just don't. It's not worth your time. Take it from me. Believe it. Take it as gospel. You can share your experiences with these in the chat or the comments, but I'm telling you, these are not the libraries you're looking for. And also, I want to mention some other places that kind of like fit in the stock, but they're not stock libraries. And the first one is AudioSparks. And I did a video on AudioSparks already on this channel. It's all still true. I've made $400 in 4 years with them, so it's not been a total waste, but it is perpetual. And listen, you will not, it's like wrestling with a tiger to get your music out of there if you want to have it not be perpetual and get that music back. It's not exclusive. Now you can put everything you put in Motion Array and Pond 5 and Content ID in AudioSparks, and they will accept Identifyy as a Content ID provider, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can never get them out ever. So to me, that's not a definition of non-exclusive. That's exclusive if I can't ever get my songs back. So if I'm going to use this, I'm going to use them as like a sync library, and they do have an exclusive side. And so I'm considering an album of exclusive music to put to them and treat them like a sync library and see how that does. Because the only real money I made from them was some TV stuff that they got me at the very first of my time. Now I'm talking about Audio Sparks. So Audio Sparks is possible, but again, beware the perpetual contract with them. You'll never get them back. It's just like putting stuff into an exclusive library like BMG. It's perpetual. You'll never get those songs back, and you need to be ready for that. Another one is SongTrader. I've talked about SongTrader on this channel a lot. I've made more than $1,100 with them in 4 years. Mainly with highly produced music has done the best there. Mostly from what they call monetization options like overhead music and compilation albums and stuff like that. Others, though, have reported way less. Not many people have made the money that I've made on SongTrader. And I've put everything there until now. And I did a grand culling, a grand taking down of music last week on SongTrader, just because I think you also need to treat them like a sync library. And that's really what they're for, is to be a sync library. But it is easy to take songs down there, and they're gone forever. And so you can quickly and easily take stuff out there. Some good information here from Cloud9 Music. So let's absorb this. Gird up your loins, listen, open your ears and listen to what Cloud9 has to say, because I like people who are actually in it and doing it to prove what they're making. Now, he has around 2,000 tracks in Pond 5. That's one reason why he's making $400 from AdRev payment. Motion Array didn't accept yet, but gave opportunity to submit in 90 days, I think. They were very nice when I followed up with them. I always find that Motion Array is very nice. But he's got 2,000 tracks in Pond 5, and that's 2,000. That's 10 times what I have or have ever had in stock, or a little under 10 times what I've had. That's one of the keys to this, and it's a key to sync too. The people that I know that are getting 6 figures or double 6 figures, or high 5-figure quarterly PRO checks in sync, are the people who have 2,000 to 3,000 songs in libraries. That's what it takes, is quantity. Cloud9 says, Radio Sparks is averaging $100, I believe, but I don't have all my tracks in there, but been doing the data set payments too. I haven't got any data set payments from them. Data set is AI payments. I haven't gotten anything. And again, I just got some songs. I've kind of made my peace with Audio Sparks, and I'm thinking about treating them like an exclusive library, and any non-exclusive like public domain stuff. I'd never plan to take that and do something else with. I can always do new versions of public domain songs if I do. Cloud9 says, it's called Yummy Sounds. I'm going to check it out. It is stock. Yeah, but he also deals with TV a lot in Europe. So that's where some of the money comes from. Lovely Fishing Rod says, is there any binding contract before taking down music from the library? Yes, like I said, Audio Sparks has a contract that says you can't take stuff down. VFine, the Chinese libraries, are pretty strict about not being able to take down things for 3 to 5 years. I'm just about out of my 3-year deal with VFine, and I'll get 80 songs back that I want back, and I will quit. I will take all my music off VFine. And then the next year, I think, is when I can take stuff off 100 Audio, but there's only a few songs up there. Cloud9 says, I do think Pond 5 is a good place to pick up clients, too. I've also done buyouts, but you have to put it in the description and bio. Interesting. Yeah, I've not really used it that way. I kind of say something like that in my bio, but maybe I should do a little bit more. Wouldn't the quality of music drop if we focus too much on quantity? Well, that's the key. Quality first, then build up quantity of quality music. It's not easy, but that is basically what you have to do. I want to talk about mid-tiers for just a second. These are companies like Artlist, MusicBed, Soundstripe, Audio Socket, Audio with 2 I's, Triple Scoop. These have exclusive and non-exclusive deals depending on the library. I'm only with a few of these and just starting. So we'll see how they do. And I don't know if I will talk about those on this channel because they're a little bit more exclusive. And I don't usually talk about specific exclusive libraries on this channel just because they don't want every person who watches my videos to be sending them 25 2,000 tracks. So, but these are different. These are kind of like motion array quality or higher, and they also do some TV type stuff. And so they act as very high-end stock libraries. But most of the time, these are the other reasons why I think Pond 5 and Audio Jungle have gone by the wayside a bit, is because their quality is so low. Artlist owns Motion Array. So they have their own version of a lower quality, but still high quality, but lower end, more composer focused rather than artist focused library for stock. And it's just for stock. And Artlist is for stock, but they also work TV quite a bit, as Stevie B is finding out. And so you might look them up and see if you can apply. I'm not going to go put their links here because they're just, some of them aren't even open. But mid-tiers are another answer, I think, an acceptable answer in 2025 for stock music. And that's why stock music has gotten so tough on the low end, is because the stock music on the high end is so competitive. And then sync. I think this is where serious composers who are at a place where they've got Motion Array accepting their music, and you want to get stuff in TV and film and advertising. You want to really get your PRO, your BMI or ASCAP or whoever you're with. You want to get that income coming up. You want to have sync income. You want to have mechanical income, neighboring rights income, all sorts of worldwide incomes coming in. I think sync licensing, and it's like I said, it's what I'm concentrating on, is where you need to be. But again, like Motion Array, these sync libraries are a very high bar. Like Artlist, like Audio Socket, like TripleScoop. They're very high bar because they're just getting so many, they're getting flooded with a lot of beats. I mean, there's nothing wrong with beats. I'm doing a lot of hip-hop right now, but hip-hop beats and tension, there's just so much of it out there by so many people that they are just having to wade through all that to find something of quality. So, and as far as sync goes, as you probably know, shameless promo here. My Getting in Sync ebook. I just put out version 5. If you're interested in getting into sync licensing, you can look at that. It's very cheap, only like $25. You can also start the course for free, and you'll find that at makemusicincome.com. So, what is my final word on stock music? And all of you are going, finally, the final word. So here it is. If you insist on doing stock music, my final word is what I suggested above, and what a real-world person has told me is what is working. Get in Motion Array. I am at about a little over $7,000 that I've been paid over 4.5 years from Motion Array, and I just got a $200 and something payment from them 3 days ago. Get the same songs in Content ID, and I've made over $1,400 in Content ID in the past 3 years. If you can't get into Motion Array and you still want to try stock, dip your toes in with Pond 5 and Content ID, just as our friend has, Cloud9 Music has. He has 2,000 songs in Pond 5. Pond 5 accepts a lot. They accept almost anything as long as it's reasonably put together. But Motion Array does not, and they only let you submit so many at a time. I think with Pond 5 you can just load them up daily with songs, but and some of these other libraries you can do the same. SongTrader, Audio Sparks, all of them, you can just load them up by the truckload, just back it up, put all those songs in there. But likely, if you can't get on Motion Array, and this is not necessarily talking to Cloud9, since he obviously has had a lot of success as a programmer and a beat maker and a producer on Pond 5 and for clients. But if you are someone trying to figure out, is music licensing for you? Is your quality good enough? Well, you need to apply to Motion Array, and if you get rejected, then probably it's not there yet. The other possibility would be to come see me at makemusicincome.com and schedule a consult. I'm leaving here in less than an hour to go meet with a local person who watched my videos and talk about their music and how they can get to the next level with the things they want to do. So if you have music and it's not getting accepted into libraries like Motion Array for some reason, and you do want to make some money with licensing your music, and you should. I think it's the best deal in music these days. It's better than putting your stuff on Spotify, although that can be great too. It's probably better than live work. Maybe not be as satisfying depending on the type of person you are. But I think that any kind of licensing is something that you need to be doing. And to do stock and make money, to do sync and make money, your composing and production skills have to be very high, because there is AI right now making middling to good music. So you need to focus on what makes you special. Are you a great guitarist? Are you a great piano player? Or do you have an instrument like viola? And if you are a viola professional, please email me, because I need to talk to you. Are you a singer-songwriter? What is it that you do better than most anybody you know personally, most anybody in your town, that you've been doing for years as a professional? That is the strength that these places are looking for. They work with me, all my exclusive libraries, Motion Array, whoever, they work with me because the quality is always at a high bar, because I was working in Nashville for a long time with great players, and much of what I auditioned with on some of these libraries was some of that stuff. So I didn't game the system, but I certainly went in with high quality. You've got to be great. That's the bottom line. If you're going to do stock music in 2025, you've got to have super high quality. And I think you've got to use two main sites, and that is Motion Array and Identifyy for your content ID, or AdRev, or whoever you want to use. Just don't use your distributor. And those two are the only possible ways that you could make money in stock music. I personally am not going to be putting a lot of focus there, because I have albums after album after album being accepted now at sync libraries, and that is my focus for the future. That is my investment strategy. So that's what I'll be doing. And for now, stock is just going to be what's there. And some of the stuff is coming down off all the libraries. And I'll redo some of that stuff for sync deals. All right, well, thanks for watching. Make sure you go get some free stuff at makemusicincome.com/free. I've got some free ebooks and different things there for you. And also there's actually a video course, a free video course on how to upload to Pond 5. And so if you do want to get into Pond 5 and dip your toes in to stock still, for whatever reason in 2025, you want to get into stock, you still can. And if you are someone who either plays the viola or is a programmer in the Cloud9, I'm talking to you. Anybody in here, I'm talking to you. If you want or are interested in being a partner and getting into larger libraries and just working together on songs, hey, hit me up at positivespinsongs.com/partners and let's talk. Hey, I appreciate everybody being here today. I am super busy right now, and I apologize for not putting out a lot of videos, but that's just probably going to be the way it is, folks, because my focus is not to be the world's greatest YouTuber, which I'm not anyway. My focus is to be someone who is earning a lot of royalties from sync licensing, and that takes daily work all day long. And partners to help me do it. So we just had 3 albums signed with signed contracts over the past few weeks. Signed a new contract just the other day and uploaded all the songs, and it's just like crazy busy here with that kind of stuff. And so if you don't see, I think it's a good sign. If you don't see a video from someone you're trying to learn something from, it's probably likely because they're off doing that thing. And that's the deal with me. So hope you have a good week. And thanks so much for watching this. And we'll see you next time on Make Music Income Podcast. Thanks. Bye-bye.